Hey, I think the most important thing is got a bigger volleyball game. We do basketball game, don't we? Again, hey, what amazing job, Coach Hudson and that staff and those players have done. To be able to get yourself in position in volleyball, to play one more game, get to Sweet 16. That's what every player and coach, works for. Get up early mornings, go to work for. And again, to be 32-1 still. How many teams in the country have one loss?
Not many. A handful.
There are very few small.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being, even a few handful. So again, 7 o'clock tonight. I don't know if my press conference goes out before then, but if you haven't got a ticket, or just get here. Get here. This team needs you. You're playing an in-state school in Louisville. Louisville's the only team that gave them their one loss. So get here tonight and support this volleyball team. I'm gonna cancel a recruiting trip to make sure I'm here tonight too to watch this.
Questions? Just equally tomorrow, Arkansas being a big game. Just how big of an opportunity do you see with this tomorrow?
They're all the same. They all count as one win. They all count as one loss. But it's very obvious we're playing a SEC team, and just not an SEC team, but a very good SEC team that no one has figured out a way to beat them yet. They're 8-0. They're kind of different. They're different with their personnel. They're not going to beat you with what you call just great size, but they're going to beat you with quickness and skill level. They're going to play 4 guards most of the night, and maybe 5 in there at times. And their guards now are good, skilled players. They got great players in Joe, who a lot of people thought would have went to the league last year, but a guy who can really, really shoot the basketball of great size. Then the Jones kid, just a bad matchup. He's going to play from point to the 4 spot. You put a forward on him, make him out and play point. Bring him off ball screens. That's what makes them difficult. When people talk about size can be overrated a whole lot. They're going to win the war most nights offensively because they create matchup problems. If they can, steady the ship and win the war defensively, that's why they're 8-0. They've won at both ends for the most part. So you get caught up in trying to take advantage of their height, but one thing you can't forget about is quickness. Those smaller big guys are quick in that post, and they fight to front that post versus taller guys stay behind. A lot of teams has really turned that ball over feeding the post. And we have been consistently great at that ourselves. So we got to limit the amount of times that happens. We all know it's very obvious. Every game plan, that's no secret. We want the ball to go inside. There's no secret to that. But you can't force it in and turn it over trying to get it in there with their lack of size because they got a lot of quickness.
You got a lot of the same guys that played them last year, and Jones and Joe were on that team too. Just do you at all look at just the matchup-wise, how you guys played against them last year in that game and looking at that?
No, it's a totally different game. Totally different team put together. They got Harris back, who started to point for them last year, is coming off the bench now for them. They got that Silvas kid who's came off and was starting for them a bunch last year. Now they've kind of slid him over there, at that 2 some. So they had about 5 or 6 of those guys, but it's put together totally different. They had the big guy, Gafford. They played around Gafford. This team is not trying to throw it in on that block as much. They're trying to beat you off the bounce. They picked up a grad transfer and a Witt kid, and he's probably been as big as a factor for them as anybody. He's a 6'5" point guard, great experience. He was on an SMU team when we played him down in the Bahamas. Started off at Arkansas. transferred to SMU, then came back to Arkansas. Very versatile guy, plays 1 through 4. And again, they're really good in transition. They're really good handling that basketball, dribbling and passing. They really do that great off that bounce. That bounce will be a challenge for us.
Now that you've reviewed the film, just what was your takeaway from that?
That bounce was a challenge the last game. That bounce. If there's one thing that really hurt us second half was the bounce. The bounce getting to that lane created too many fouls, too many free throw opportunities. In the second half, remember it was 17-3. 17-3 second half. We attempt 3, they attempt 17 the second half. That's a bad stat. That's a bad recipe for success, in particular when you're on the road. We didn't do a great job. They played 4 guards, spread you out, and took the big guy out of the post and ball screen and drove it on us. We've got to be better at handling that.
Because they did that so much, how much are you going to use that Wright State game film to try to prepare for what Arkansas is going to try to do?
Film can help you so much. It's about taking on some personal challenges. The importance of, guarding that basketball head up. And that's where it all starts at. If you can't guard the bounce, it's hard to play. And that's our challenge in some areas. I got to find ways to help him do that. Where it's mixing up things differently, but I got to help some guys guard that ball off that bounce better.
It seemed like against Bowling Green, against Wright State, down the stretch where things just kind of struggled some. You think just picking up the slack, there was a portion in the game will help you guys out?
Well, you want to hope so. You want to hope you learn from situations. It's very obvious. There's, 2 of those games, one of them is I guess you're up and get beat at the buzzer. And the other one, you're up a minute to go, and then you go down 1, and you still have 2 shots. 2 shots to either win it or tie it up there at the end. 3 shots if you want to count the last shot. I ain't going to count the last shot because that was a scramble shot. But we had two pretty good shots before then. Charles on that post and Tavion's little floater. Charles would have put us, we was down 1 at that point. He would have put us up. Tavion's little floater was down 2. It's in a lane shot that would have done it. But those plays get magnified. Man, it's those plays way before there. Those plays before there in that stretch that hurt you. And again, if I've ever had a team shoot, was it 4 free throws? 7 for the game, wasn't it? And their total for the game was, I thought it was 17 the second half. They shot. It's 20, I think. 20. 7 to 20. But 3 to 17 the second half. That's a bad stat. And that's one of those stats that we try to win. That we win a lot of times. And to be on the backside of it in a 1-point game, it's not good.
Why do you think it's been so hard to get to the free throw line? I know the first half against Louisville, you guys struggled to get to the free throw line. I think then against Wright State, you guys struggled. Is it just not being aggressive enough, or?
Whatever, 2 different kind of teams, number one. Louisville made it very difficult to drive that thing in there. It's very obvious. They're the number 1 team in the country for a reason. I think they turned around after us, whoever it was, held them about 30 points or 35 points below what they were scoring. So Louisville had a lot to do with it. I don't know in our perimeter, guys, who's our guys that's really, consistently great off that bounce. There's some better than others, and there's some it's not their strength. Naturally we gotta still throw it in there, and y'all have heard me say it 1,000 times. You gotta drive it in there. It's how you get that free throw line. And we've been pretty good at that. We wasn't near as good, give Louisville a lot of credit. Wright State, we just wasn't as good at doing it for whatever reason. Just didn't happen. It didn't happen as much.
You probably expected the Tavion move to point being a temporary thing while you're waiting on Kenny, but at this point now, is it just a Tavion? This is what it is now. This is what you are. Going to have to really just transition your mind, and not permanently, but this is who you have to be now.
Well, I think it's a transition for all of us that we all have got to kind of go back and you put together one way. You kind of put together playing a way, and we've got to go back and make some adjustments to the way we're put together a little bit. It's very, very obvious. Tavion, he is wired to score. He can score multiple ways. There's no question about that. And he's doing as good as jobs he can do, and there's some good things he does out there. And it's about, I think the biggest challenge for someone who really hasn't done it consistently and is being able to see everything happen before it happens as a point guard. And, when you're wired to score, sometimes that's a challenge for you, where you got to go fast. Old high school coach told you guys don't get in a hurry though. You got to be able to shift gears. So that's a challenge for him. And like I say, he's learned some things. He's gotten better at some things. And hopefully, he can continue to figure out, seeing some things happen before it happens, and maybe getting some other guys some easier looks, not when they're open, but when they're getting open. And it's a tough role for a young man to play that hadn't done it consistently in his life. It's a huge challenge for him.
You mentioned the shifts, potentially just looking at changing up how we are. I mean, what are some of those shifts that you're making?
Well, we just, I don't know if we've made them yet. We haven't had that's another thing. We haven't had no practice time. What do I mean by that? Just our schedule. I'm talking about real practice time. Again, we practice, but you can't practice at the level you want to practice with when we've played 6 games basically on the road here in the last 2.5 weeks, whatever it's been, with the travel. When you put the travel in with those games, that's been difficult for us. We got to get back. We got to get through this game tomorrow, where we can not catch your breath, but you got a little window to do some things. We've got 3 games the rest of the month of December, and this would have been 8 games in about 7 or 8 in about 3 weeks, with all the travel, not home games, the travel games. And that's what made it difficult too. So having this window, we got to find a way here Saturday. Then we have some finals coming up where guys can catch their breath. Monday and Tuesday do some academics, but give us some practice time. We need some practice time.
Anything else, Coach?
What is the next date that you're expecting to hear or something? I know that you sort of put that November 27th as a benchmark on Kitty. Is there another date that you're looking at?
Hey, listen, I wish I had answered that. I would say, I'm just going to keep saying, real soon. Real soon. So it's very obvious we're not going to have it here before Saturday, the final thing. But we got to move on from it. We got to be able to move on from it, and whatever adjustments we got to make, we can make those adjustments. Because we've already played 9 games. We've already played 9 games. That's almost 30 a season. So that's kind of where we're at with it right now. So I'm sure as soon as we hear something, you're going to be probably the first to hear.
Is Matt going to be able to play or not?
We'll see. He sprained that ankle. That's against Louisville, wasn't it? Wasn't able to play at Wright State, and Matt's been adding too. He's been coming off the bench, giving us some minutes, and he gives you some athleticism in there. And I was pleased the way he was coming along. And he sprained an ankle, set him back, but it'll be a game time decision.